Hi guys, everybody. Hi everybody. Dad, Mom here. Welcome back to another edition of Taking on the Big Guys. Tonight we have the Young Turks, some old favorites, being Clueless as always. We're in for a good time. But first, like the video if you enjoy my content and subscribe to the channel to let the algorithm know that. And thank you so much for your support. Let's dive in and see what they got.
Doctors around the country who happen to provide treatment to transgender patients are now dealing with violent harassment. They have been targeted by right-wingers who have engaged in this full-blown assault toward the transgender community for their own political purposes. And it's having a real impact on these doctors and the patients that they serve. One such...
Like, on the one hand, good. On the other hand, she's kind of not wrong. We'll get there.
Pediatrician, Dr. Gina Sekira, who's a co-founder of a children's gender clinic in Seattle, Washington, shared her experience. Roughly a month before the September protest, she had received an unmarked letter in the mail that gave her pause.
She got a letter in the mail. I want to take this back real quick to catch her description of this assault.
Who have engaged in this full-blown assault toward the transgender community for their own political purposes. And it's having a real impact on these doctors and the patients that they serve. One such pediatrician, Dr. Gina Sekira, who's a co-founder of a children's gender clinic in Seattle, Washington, shared her experience. Roughly a month before these...
A pediatrician who co-founded a gender clinic in Seattle, right? Got a letter in the mail. Oh, poor wee babe.
September protest, she had received an unmarked letter in the mail that gave her pause. She worried about the risk of anthrax, she tells Time. Of someone...
It's been a while since I heard about anybody getting anthrax in the mail. I'm not sure why someone's mind would immediately go to that.
Trying to hurt her. Eventually, she gingerly opened the envelope. Inside, she found printed posters decrying gender-affirming care for children. No child is born in the wrong body, one read. Who profits from this crime?
Okay. Posters. Oh, not posters. How awful. Oh my gosh, she must be scarred for life. That was probably us. Right? Who did it? Who did it? What's up? Good job. You win the Rad Mom VIP of the Week award.
And, we've talked about what gender-affirming care for minors looks like. The right wing would have you believe that they're like undergoing serious operations when they're like 12 years old.
That's because some of them are.
In reality, the treatment that they get typically tends to be mental health treatment, especially...
Meaning what exactly? Because, if you put someone on a gender-affirming path when they're 9, then that's all their mental health treatment is going to consist of.
Especially considering the fact that suicide is unfortunately very prevalent among the transgender community.
Yes, because they have untreated mental illness.
And the minors are also sometimes given, medication that kind of slows down puberty. So by the time they're adults and they can make decisions about what to do, they can make a fully formed decision and move forward in that regard.
Ow. Did you catch that? Puberty blockers. Give them time until they're adults to make a fully formed decision. Like phrasing. Hello. Come on, Hannah. They by definition will not be fully formed. Okay? Oh my God. Like, being an adult is not just about being of a certain age is it? And we all know that, don't we? Oh, God. What? This is such nonsense.
And these are, this is the type of care that minimizes the risk of suicide. But of course,
well, if you're on under constant care, then I guess, yeah, that would minimize the risk of suicide just by its very nature. And if you have, some sort of personality disorder that's run amok, being given what you want will make you temporarily happier, which will make you not less depressed. So, I mean, yeah, probably.
Of course, the right wing doesn't care about that.
The right wing does not care about suicidal teens. That's quite an accusation there, Anna. I wouldn't deign to speak for them, because I certainly don't identify as right wing myself, really, in any way. Excuse me. But, yeah, that's a pretty broad statement.
They have used this particular topic as a way of fear-mongering, as a way of making it seem as though parents who have transgender children are abusing them somehow.
That's because they are. Because trans is not a thing, and the only reason that the child would believe that about themselves is because some person has groomed them to believe that. The grooming of children happens all the time in various flavors. It is not far-fetched.
By making them feel accepted within their family or within their community. And it's really starting to have an insane impact on the very doctors who are just trying to do their jobs.
By insisting that their family and their community, bend to their whims. I mean, is that what acceptance even is? I don't know. I don't feel like getting all pedantic right now. It just sounds like some grade A bullshit, doesn't it?
And I want to give you an example real quick before I go to you, Cenk, of the kind of rhetoric that we hear from right-wingers. So I'm going to move over to graphic 5 here. And this is actually from a former Mississippi lawmaker, Robert Foster. He tweeted this. This is the kind of rhetoric that you'll see from right-wingers. Some of y'all still want to try and find political compromise with those that want to groom our school-age children and pretend men are women. I think they need to be lined up against the wall before a firing squad be sent to an early judgment. So,
okay, I know I said I didn't want to get pedantic, but first of all, I think like if you're talking about the biblical judgment, like that should be a capital J. Just saying. Secondly, is this the association that we want? I've said it before that, pardon me, just going ahead and standing next to not just conservatives, but right-wingers, ideologues, because they agree that biological sex exists, is a bad plan. And this is why, right here. Because they're crazy.
Basically, he is advocating for essentially the execution of anyone who is supportive of the transgender community. When he was called out for that tweet, he decided to essentially double down, tweeting this: "Why the firing squad specifically? First and foremost, I am a Southern gentleman," he claims, and it's a very efficient and civilized way of disposing of evil. Secondly, it would be too costly and time-consuming to fly them all high up over the Gulf of Mexico and push them out of a helicopter.
I would not deign to speak for Southern gentlemen, but I do not believe that this qualifies. And I don't think how is pushing them out of a helicopter the equivalent of what? This man is off his nut. And yeah, disposing of evil. Is this the rhetoric that we want? I personally would say no, and I do not condone any of this. Except for that first paragraph, right? About, the grooming of the kids and the men can't be women and stuff. That does sound awful familiar. And that's a problem.
That's the kind of guy he is. And unfortunately, he's not unique. You see this kind of rhetoric in regard to the transgender community and supporters of the transgender community quite often from the right wing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so first of all, in regards to that Mississippi legislator,
at least in this country, and I want to say, for any British sisters out there, I think that you have had an easier time of sort of shaking off the whole right-wing label, because I'm not sure that over in the UK you have the sort of right-wing reactionary underbelly that we here in the US do. I think it seems to me that y'all kicked all those people out and kind of sent them here a while back. So thanks for that.
he should be arrested. Yeah, I know. He's a former state rep and ran for statewide office as well. And got a decent amount of the vote, by the way. So he should be arrested. We're normalizing threats of violence. No, that's against the law. So talking about executing people in an extra...
I don't know about arrested, but, you can definitely be charged with something, right? I mean, I don't know that you should sit in a prison cell waiting on trial for a tweet, right? But this is not the kind of thing that they're getting questioned for in the UK, is it? This is literally saying in so many words, they should be shot. They should be executed. That's a hell of a lot different than putting up stickers or posting ribbons.
Judicial way is clearly a crime. No, nothing. This is encouraging vigilante violence, lawlessness, and chaos. And that's what we're getting. So I know Democrats are scared. You've got to take action. You can't
have... Come on, Chank. I thought you've been doing this for a while. You're telling the Democrats to stop being scared and to take action? Let me know if you get any blood from that stone.
Former legislators or anyone walking around going, hey, let's just murder the other side.
That's bad.
They're not getting how insanely lawless that is. It's just a recipe for absolute disaster. Now, let's turn to Republicans who are generally hateful overall as an entire party. Don't bother trying to deny it. Here are facts. 19 states this year, 21 states last year, of course, all Republican states, tried to pass laws against getting health care for transgender kids. In Texas, Greg Abbott, until a judge stopped him, was having Child Protective Services go to the homes of transgender kids and try to arrest their parents for being good to them, not for being bad to them.
For humoring their delusions and insisting that everyone else do so as well. I'm not sure that that's a proper use of DCS or CPS, whatever. The Child Services Bureau thing. Everywhere that I've ever heard of, they're overworked and understaffed as it is. Okay, so if you wanted to enact this whole new wave of enforcement, you might want to see to that first. Almost kind of sounds like he didn't actually worry, wasn't really worried about that. But yeah, going and arresting their parents, how is that helpful? I'm not sure that's any better than the Munchausens. Honestly, the foster system is bad. And you're separating kids from their parents. Like, that's no. Like, it's a mess, but like making laws against transgender care is things like making laws against young girls getting mastectomies for no reason. That should be illegal. mutilating children should be illegal.
So Republicans are sick.
I can't believe I have to say some of the things I hear come out my mouth.
People who are filled with hate. They're trying to put that hate onto the trans community now. Why? Conservatives in this country historically have built their entire ideology on hatred. So whether it was slavery, it was Jim Crow, it was the Southern strategy. For most of American history, they hated black people, and was their bread and butter. That's what right wing in America is. Hatred of black people was their mainstay. Of course, they also hated Chinese, and they blocked them. They hated Latinos, they hate Muslims, etc. But in modern history, they have been moving from category to category.
So I think he means to talk about white supremacist fascism, which, yeah, goes way back. Before this country. Yeah, I don't support that either. Just so we're clear. But like conservatives wanting to hold on to that status quo. And obviously anyone who supports that status quo is a bad actor. We don't want to stand next to them. But conservative is a really broad brush. Right? I mean, I'm married with 4 kids. Day to day, I'm not sure it gets a whole lot more conservative than that. It's not because I went and said to myself, wow, what does God want me to do? Because I'm going to follow every rule that I can find. No. It's just sort of how the cookie crumbled. Okay. And I don't think that necessarily makes me a conservative politically, because I don't believe that it's mandatory. I'm not trying to keep society from progressing towards something that would work better for everybody. Shoot, even me. I'm open to that. Goodness knows, life is hard sometimes. Like, right? For everybody. That's what progressive is supposed to be. That's what... Anyway. Just because someone doesn't, like fears change, or is like short-sighted and fine with how their life is, doesn't make them a racist or a fascist. Yep.
So they would pass laws against black people, and then they passed the anti-Sharia laws as if Muslims are about to take over Tulsa, Oklahoma.
That is ridiculous. However, like Sharia should not be enacted anywhere. Is no good for us.
Then they passed anti-gay laws in 2004 against gay marriage, etc. Now they moved on to trans people. They just transfer their hate from one group to another.
And, whose fault is that association? Couldn't be that the trans community purposefully rode the coattails of the the gay rights movement. Could it? I don't know. And so, yeah, knee-jerk reactionaries are going to have a knee-jerk reaction. Brilliant.
So does it nearly 50% of trans kids consider suicide?
I feel like nearly 50% of teenagers contemplate suicide at some point. The numbers are high. They're not good, right? Overall, they're not good, and they're getting worse. Why are you singling out 2% of the population? Why do we all have to adjust our entire society for this?
Republicans care, other than the governor of Utah, who had a really great statement, and we always give credit where credit is due. And if Republicans were good guys, we'd tell you that, right? As the governor of Utah was. But outside of him, no, they're all in. They don't mind trans kids contemplating and committing suicide because they think trans people, there's something wrong with them. We should hate them. We should ostracize them. We should take away their rights.
There are people out there who, are cutthroat and ballsy and nasty and just bitterly judgmental enough to be like, when someone who belongs to a group that they've decided they don't like is killed or something, they're like, good, one less blah. insert epithet here. Which, of course, is awful and stupid. Yeah, you don't freaking know that person. What is wrong with you? And I guess that would be what stereotypical bigotry looks like, right? That's not what you guys see the contrast, right? Between sending a lady who runs a gender clinic printed information in the mail. I mean, I guess it was unmarked, so maybe they dropped it off in her mailbox. They know where she lives. Ooh. They probably got it out of the phone directory. Ooh. And saying that people should be lined up and shot. On the one hand, we have printed materials delivered to doctors who do these things with their hands. Yeah. So you're putting information in those hands, right? And on the other hand, we have random dude threatening, saying people should be shot. You see the difference, right? There's to me a really obvious and strong contrast between those two kinds of things. And the trouble is that a lot of it is a gray area because, for example, the passing of the laws to outlaw trans healthcare is sort of a gray area. Because obviously the guy who wants them all shot doesn't think that they need the surgeries either. Maybe the trouble is that guy shouldn't be in the legislature. Yeah, maybe we should start there.
And sometimes we should even take away their parents. We should imprison their parents and send them to foster care. That's the barbaric, hateful people that Republican voters are. The Republican leaders are acting this way because it gets them elected. Keep it real.
Why is that? Is that right? I don't know. I want to say that all of this is so recent that a lot of these people didn't even campaign on it because it wasn't an issue 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks.
No. Thanks for watching me, Rad Mom. This has been just a little bit of a warm up, really kind of a little sweet tidbit here from these clueless motherfuckers. Am I right? Jeez Louise. I don't know. This time it's almost hard to blame them. Because I've seen and dealt with a lot of confusion on these very points and the differences between one sort of side of this end of the spectrum and the other. I know where I lie. I think that collective action is probably the answer. Yeah. Which, by definition, makes me a leftist. Yeah. And I think that a lot of individualists are fucking insane. And they're the ones that are the capitalists who are fucking over the planet. But that's my opinion. And, I'm straight and married and shit, so, whatever. Right? But, these guys, they're just furthering this confusion. And they have a really big channel. And the last time I covered something, it was Dave Chappelle, though. Who am I kidding? It wasn't the Young Turks that anyone was really interested in. And I don't know who they're kidding. Is there anyone who watches this kind of thing and goes, yeah, damn it. Obviously, some crazy asshole who thinks that any American citizens need to be lined up and shot is obviously the same as someone sending a gender doctor printed material in their mailbox. Yeah. But yeah, I have been Rad Mom, and here we try to do radical feminism from a materialist perspective. Thank you so much for joining me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you again soon. Ta!